Howdy folks, I'm Brian,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit. Alright folks, so we have an update, and this might be the only one we can get to today because it is a long update, so hopefully you stick around for the whole thing. It's ridiculous, and it gets more ridiculous. So, this is the one where OP's girlfriend took a bite out of every single piece of cake, and then he kicked her out of the house. And if you remember, he was wondering if he was a jerk for kicking her out of the house for this, right? So let's get started and see where this insanity goes, because it is insane. Update on Am I the Jerk post. First, thank you to the Redditor who asked the moderators to send me some resources for mental health. It's touching to know that there are good people out there that care. Although I felt empty for the first few days, I had no desire to harm myself. My family and friends pulled through for me, and I consider myself blessed for how much they did in the first few days. I arrived home to no key in the post box and an open door. That was a huge alarm bell ringing in my head. Who knows when she left and how long it had been open. The place was trashed, but it could have been worse. The thing I was upset the most about was her breaking the black splash tiles, as those were something that my grandmother had chosen and she's no longer with us. I was also upset about the food, as she had thrown away everything out of the cupboards, fridge, freezer, and the small spare freezer that my grandparents bought many years back. H literally yanked the door off the little freezer. For the person who called it, yes, my clothes were both ripped, some were stuffed in the toilet, and some were missing. I'll get to that in a moment. As H had somehow ruined the keyhole and one of the hinges on the front door, I had to sleep by the door. I didn't want to disturb anyone during the night. In the morning, I phoned my father and a few friends. The first thing my father did was advise me to change the door completely. That was a huge expense he paid for out of pocket. My friends helped with the general cleanup and unblocking of the toilet. One of them took all of my broken electronics and said that he would get their best friend to fix it for me for free and try to recover my pictures and other files. She also volunteered to get me basic food stuff like rice, salt, and so on. I hope you're all sticking with me so far here, because as I said, this gets worse. I know that sounds like it's not possible. How could this possibly get worse? You'll see. I had no idea where she was, but I wanted to check some things with her family, as she did not respond to my messages or phone call. Her mother was surprisingly very accommodating in inviting me into their home. While my father and friends finished the cleanup at my place, I was dropped off by my mother. There was many suggestions here on checking her background to see how much of it was lies, and I had to know for the sake of closure how much of our relationship was lies. Thank you to you/check-your-info for the tips. When I arrived at her parents', they told me that she was in Manchester, but that she would be coming by. H had told them to tell me not to leave before we had spoken. H had not told her parents what she had done the previous day and night. I started asking her father about his translation work for the Australians and their backgrounds. Seems like no one in the family can keep their story straight. When I first met him, he told me that he was a civil engineer in Afghanistan, and that the Australians had headhunted him for translation work. However, when I spoke to him the day after she trashed my place, he said that he was top surgeon in Afghanistan, and that the Australians had begged him to translate for them. Yet he drove a taxi in the West Midlands until he got to ESA. I did not want to anger or make him shut down, so I didn't push that point further. Her father also claimed that he had fought with the Northern Alliance in Afghanistan when the Russians were there, and that he comes from a warrior caste. All the warriors in his family died valiantly defending their territory apparently. Yet H has uncles and aunts and other family living in Australia, UK, Canada, Germany, and Sweden. It also doesn't make sense because I have since googled the time frame that the war, and he would have been 7 when the war started and 17 when it ended. I did what was suggested to me. and I had prepared some pictures on my phone to show them of the desert in the Middle East and a few places from Afghanistan thrown in there. To my surprise, Afghanistan is actually really green to what I thought it would be. Both her mother and father claimed that Fallujah was their hometown in northern Afghanistan. When I asked them how H was born in Karachi, they said that she was born there because they had to escape Afghanistan when the Russians came looking for them. He met H's mother in Pakistan. Again, this doesn't check out as the NA were allies of the Russians. I mean, a lot of this doesn't check out because, he would have been 7, so how would he have been top, surgeon in Afghanistan if he was 7 at the time and then 17? There's a lot of weird things here. There were a lot of people asking me about her religion and that gross custom of putting things in teas. They are Shias, but to varying degrees. They don't follow all the rules. And there is a note on this. What they mean by putting stuff in the tea is that her aunt used a white magic spell on her partner at the time by putting period blood in his tea. And that was supposed to make him fall in love with her. So there is that. There is that. And OP, from what I understand, thinks that this may also have happened to him.
Oh.
By 3 p.m., she still had not arrived, so I went out for a bit, promising to return when she was closer to where her parents lived. She finally came at 7 p.m., so I went back to her parents' place. They gave us space and left us in the front room while her mother went to prepare some food for her. She had my shirt on and started talking to me as though nothing had happened. H asked me about what weekend plans that we had as if nothing was wrong. That's right, folks, the audacity. It was a weird feeling because I was actually scared of her. I tried to be gentle as possible. The thing on my mind was the period blood in my tea. I asked her how it worked, and she explained that you went to a lady that does seher, and she instructs you about how much to put in there, and then the man you love is given the tea. That is how her aunt did it, and her aunt is very happy with her husband. It was her dad's sister. I pretended that I wanted to move forward with our relationship, but only if she would give me some answers. I asked her why she felt the need to take a bite out of my food in the lockbox, and if she thought it was a way of making us fall more in love, as some Redditors suggested to me. She said no, she was just angry at me and felt that I couldn't tell her what to do, and that's why she did it. And that it was to make me mad. The cake was also on purpose, as she felt that I had been extremely rude up to that point in our relationship in terms of food sharing. That's right, folks. No remorse. I was just angry at you. That's why I did this. It's like a cat that knocks something off a counter, and then when you pick it back up, the cat knocks it off again. H explained that her father always let her mother taste his food, and that she felt that I rarely offered it to her. Therefore, it was done to teach me a lesson. The fact that I was at her parents' and begging her to come back, that's not what I ever said, meant that I had learned my lesson. According to her, I better start offering her the first bite, especially when we go out with her friends and they're present. Yeah. No remorse. She went to grab me some tea while getting her own food. She gave it to me in one of those reusable coffee cups. I just had a gut feeling that something was wrong, and I opened the lid, and there was a piece of paper with scribbles floating in it. I quickly made my excuse and left. I texted her that we were over and not to come back to my place. I said that I would pay her £600 towards the rent for her new place, as I was the one that made her break the lease, and that she was not to contact me again. That's the part of the story that, there's a lot of weird stuff. But then OP is like, I'm gonna also pay you.
He's scared of her.
I know he's scared of her. On Tuesday, she was outside my flat. When I wouldn't come down to open the door downstairs for her, she started yelling and throwing things at my window. I'm on the second floor. Some of my neighbors complained, so I went down to calm her down. It did not go well. I can't write what she did, but let's say the cake had it easier. She tried to contact me via some mutual friends to, quote, return the remainder of my clothes, but I declined. I told her to keep the stuff. She did, however, give it to one of my friends who works in the same area as her, and they were smeared with some type of oil. Yesterday, her friends were at my workplace and demanded the £600 for the rent. I went to an appointment with my GP to get some blood tests run because I think there may have been some extra ingredients with my food. Scary stuff, folks. Tomorrow I'm changing my number as she keeps phoning me and texting me non-stop. I never lock the fridge from her or any other food items. Only my snack and some of my own food in the fridge. Those of you calling me abusive need to reread my original post. All other food was available to her. For those of you who called me dumb for believing her lies about the many languages she knew, well, when we ordered Indian/Pakistani takeaway, she would speak to the person in the language that they spoke, and it wasn't in English. I had no idea that some of those languages were so closely related, or that they spoke the same language in that region. I can barely speak English, and it's my first language. My French from my school days is almost non-existent. I guess I was impressed because she knew more than me, and I fell for it. Chip butt is safe to Google. It's a chip buttery, but my autocorrect keeps changing it to chip butt, which is why I added it to the sandwich so people would know that it's a harmless food item and not the butt of some animal, as some people ask me in both DM and on the forum. My younger brother has called it that since he was 3, and I guess my phone corrects it to that now as we text that version of the word. It's good, humble food, but it's nothing more than fresh chips with salt and vinegar, thick fries for you Americans, on a sandwich, and a fish finger if you want to be extra adventurous. I do help out with petrol, gas, as often as I can for my friends, and I don't only pay in cake. My friends and family enjoy my baking, and it's an extra thing, not the main payment. I'm not a cheapskate, and as some have asked me in the DMs, before I sold my car, I never asked any of my friends for petrol. They did, however, give me money towards it occasionally. Thank you all for the good advice from everyone. I feel that I made the right decision to leave, and I'm happy to be single, although I do miss a warm body in my bed. Stay safe, and before going into a relationship, have clear boundaries and stick to them. That's what I'm taking away from this experience. I am off to brush up on my geography and current affairs. Alright, folks. What do you think of that one?
I mean, I did expect that she was gonna do something if he kicked her out, but not to that degree.
Yeah, I actually was like, oh yeah, there's probably perfectly safe to kick her out. I didn't think that she would resort to this level of stuff. I just thought she was petty, right?
Yeah, well, I definitely thought she was gonna she's gonna throw out all his food or eat all his food, bite everything in the house or something, but not this.
Yeah, I mean, this went to a level that I just was not expecting. And there's all kinds of stuff in there. There's some comments that essentially she claims that she was a Afghanistan princess as well, and there's just all kinds of just weird stuff thrown out throughout here. I don't know if it really adds to it. I know that this was probably a confusing update. I've read some of the comments, and they don't really make it any less confusing. It's just kind of a whirlwind. It's basically the basic premise is her and her family are absurd and do absurd things and will probably poison you and cast spells on you. So yeah, I'm glad that OP got away from this situation. Ridiculous situation, absurd situation, and I'm just glad that everyone's hopefully safe and sound from here. So move OP, call the police and get a restraining order. Those are the things that I think you should do. So yeah, anyhow, take care and good luck. I wish you had pressed charges for the destroyed stuff, but I'm glad you're rid of her. And OP says, I considered it, but I don't want more trouble from her. If she keeps coming back, I might be pushed into a corner. For now, I hope changing my number will put her off. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I have some tea. Amber has some tea. Apparently last week, I revealed what tea I had before even saying it, and then at the very end I was like, and I have blah tea. I don't remember which tea it was at the time, but kind of ruined the surprise, and I just almost did it again. I was about to say what tea I had. So, Amber, do you have any jokes for us?
What did the shocked cat say? Well, not that kind of shock. You've got to be kidding me.
That's pretty good. I like my punchline better. And I have Mega Mint tea. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like, and if you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Do not forget, this Friday is the 26th, so we will be doing a live stream then. So I hope you all can join us. Anyhow, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.